So the makers of Westworld say that they have a 5-year plan, a 5-year story, and it's all plotted out ahead of time. But somehow I'm not sure I trust that. There's part of me that goes, ooh, Abrams, you better not get me with that mystery box again. We'll have to wait and see for now. And welcome back to the heart of the stories we tell, a series where I spend way too much time thinking about what makes a story. And today's episode is episode 3 of the new series Westworld. And you know what? Before we get started with the review itself, I do want to say there's part of me that thinks that this is almost a satire on the fans of HBO. And I wonder how much of it is actually Abrams poking fun at the people who are actually doing the money for his project. Because if you think about it, Game of Thrones is one of its most popular series, and everyone says they want Westworld to be the next Game of Thrones. But think about what type of commentary it's making. It's saying the people that just want blood and gore and rape and nudity are the bad guys. You know, maybe kinda like the worst part of Game of Thrones fans. Tonight's episode was all about backstory, and as we all know, what's past is prologue. Are we all just robots? Are we just programming? And most importantly, are we the result of our own pasts? Well, let's get into the weeds and throw up my 2 warnings, an adult content and spoiler warning, because as usual, both are pretty strong. To be honest, I'm not even really sure where to begin with tonight's episode. We have stuff going on with the guests, and we have stuff going on out of the park, but I think I'm going to start with what I think is a pretty meta joke. The backstory of Teddy and Dolores, wasn't written ahead of time. So like Wolverine, it's a fill-in-the-blank mysterious past. And it's kind of funny because that's the problem with the mystery box. That was the problem with Lost. They didn't have the answers ahead of time. But this is showcasing a different way of writing. Now, Dolores and Teddy share some great moments tonight, and we get some idea of what Teddy does outside of her quest. He's a bounty hunter who takes people on early missions. The two of them have a repeat of the opening episode night, so it gets a little Groundhog Day-ish. But then he goes out on a bounty hunting mission, and the next night she's stuck in the same position again. So I wonder how much of that is scripted. And as her memories continuously come back, well, that bleeds into what's going on outside of the game. So let's switch over to William, our man in the white hat. If the internet's theory is true, he's also our man in the black. But maybe I'll deal with that another time. Right now I'm labeling that unlikely, but possible. He's out looking for an adventure and his future brother-in-law is along for the ride. He isn't in a lot of this episode, but the weird part is that one major scene that contradicts what we saw in the first episode. He gets shot and it hurt. Not only does it hurt, but it knocks him down. Is it possible the man in the black is just so tough that he's used to getting hit by those rounds? I mean, is it like getting hit by a paintball? Lots of questions. We also, by the end of the episode, have hit this part of the storyline answer a question I had back at the beginning. How expensive is this park? $40K a day. $40,000 a day. I don't know about you, but I couldn't afford a $40,000 vacation, let alone $40,000 a day vacation. I'd be hard-pressed to afford a $4,000 vacation. So, this isn't Disney World. This is something way more extravagant. Then we get to outside the park. And outside the park is when things get real interesting. So going with the theme of backstories, we get 2 of them. I'm going to start with the one that is the lesser important, I think. And that is the fact that the guy who's been working on these androids and the one who's been messing with Dolores, his son died. Oh, by the way, he's married even though he's sleeping with the woman in charge of the park. So just to recap what Bernard's actually been doing, he's been increasing the way Dolores thinks. And he's been doing this through teaching her, through having her read books, talk to her about his problems, using her as a sounding board for all sorts of things. But then he's also telling her things like, what would you do in this situation? How would you react? Asking her to turn off her scripted responses. I cannot believe anyone that is having such an understanding of computers is so stupid to understand what that could cause. But he's not the only one to have that problem, because now we find out the secret origin and backstory of the park itself, and that outside there was once another person, a partner for Dr. Ford. His name was Arnold. Now, this Arnold person is still up in the air as exactly what was going on, but he was trying to create true AI, and in doing so, they solved passing the Turing test day 1 before the park opened, and they've been improving on this stuff since. That blows my mind. Especially when you remember that first episode and having a drink with an old friend, and the herky-jerky stop and start of that original animatronic. I still don't quite understand exactly how this is going on, and I will say that theory I alluded to up top does involve the fact that we're looking at multiple time periods and don't know it, and that kinda is possible, because I definitely get the feeling there's something we're missing, something we're not being told. So once again, we're questioned with what is real and what isn't, who is real and who isn't, and this entire storyline could be up in the air. For now, though, I'm going to ask you to hit that subscribe button, or if you already have, maybe like or share this video. I'd like to build a community where we can discuss these stories and come up with our own theories. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you for walking with me through the heart of the stories we tell. Have a good night.